Welcome to the AI Lab Unfiltered podcast, where we talk about everything AI practical in a very practical sense. And today is going to be a very, very practical sense and very bleeding edge sense, I would say. We have our podcast guest, Graeme Timmeney from Blue Carbon International. And we're going to talk a little bit about AI for the planet.
Awesome. Great to be here.
Take it away, Graeme.
Yeah, go.
Super excited to be here.
So, okay, set the stage a little bit. I didn't want to say too much about, I don't want to say too much about you, but give me some.
Here's some about me.
Let's focus on me. Yeah. But I want to understand, like, give me kind of your bio, a little bit of your background, how you got to where you're at.
Yeah. So I mapped the water, and I've got to that by growing up on the water. So I grew up here in Southwest Michigan, and then also, going on dive trips with my dad. And the funny thing is I don't dive and I don't really snorkel, but I map the ocean. I have like a weird fear of fish and water. So
Maybe that's why you map it.
yeah, that might be why I map it.
What's down there? I gotta know.
So growing up on the water for like sailing and canoeing and, going on these dive trips and sitting on the boat looking down. So I've always like been fascinated with maps and the ocean. And then I got my master's in geography from Western Michigan University, where I studied sargassum, which is like this floating seaweed, and it was really hard, and I wasn't good at machine learning then, or AI, or anything. It was kind of very much a new field, and I kind of recognized the need for it, and then kind of hopped into industry. I had my own little startup for a while using drones to map, high-value crops around Southwest Michigan, and then kind of migrated into the role I am in now at Blue Carbon International.
And you're a GIS director.
Yes, GIS director. So GIS is Geographic Information Systems.
There we go.
So
Okay.
anything you can put on a map, but my background is mostly in remote sensing, which is kind of manipulating, using, and kind of developing methods of managing and handling satellite imagery.
So when you said remote sensing, because there's like psychics that say that they can see go into Russia and like get the secret plans for the nukes. That's
Yes.
not what you're talking about.
No, I think that's remote viewing.
Viewing. Oh, okay. All right.
It's a little different.
This podcast is shot. You prepared the whole thing.
I don't know where that was going.
I had 10 questions about that. Throw those out. All right.
I wish I knew about that. That might make my job a lot easier.
So walk us through, I guess, what does a day look like for you?
It can be different every day, but a lot of it is, managing partnerships, like who we work with, who can be data providers for us, and then also kind of how we can ingest, manage, and manipulate satellite data. And we don't only use satellite data, we use drones, we use divers, we use uncrewed surface vessels, so like drones on the water, looking into using drones that go underwater too as well. So there's like a lot of like incredible companies that I get to like find out about and talk to and like figure out what they do. And the space is advancing so rapidly. Like there's new, completely novel satellites going up every day that you never would have thought possible 5-10 years ago.
So when you say mapping like bodies of water, are you talking about like topology of like the ocean and underneath the water? And
yeah, so with satellites you can actually map the bathymetry, which is like the underwater topography, up to like 40 meters deep, depending on where you are in the world, which is like a really crazy one. Yeah. There's a lot of companies doing that using machine learning. Some people use physics, which is a kind of crazy concept, by using the physics of how light moves to figure out how deep it is underwater. And then
But using like LiDAR at all?
Yeah, LiDAR. So kind of one of the cool machine learning applications of satellite imagery is you can use satellite-based LiDAR, so space lasers, and combine that with satellite imagery.
Space lasers.
Space lasers.
Yeah. I'm terrified right now.
The big space laser one is called the ISAT-2. So it has a green laser that penetrates water, and you can get some tracks of that, and then take that, combine it with the satellite image, and you can figure out the water depth.
Oh my goodness.
Across like massive areas.
I had no idea.
That's just crazy.
No, I use Google Maps.
Yeah, exactly.
That's as far as it gets.
And the water's just blue. That's all it is. There's like nothing to it.
Yeah. When you're using Google Maps and you kind of like scroll through areas, and then it's like you could kind of see, the sand in places, and then it gets like really dark blue,
Yep.
and you can't like see anything. That's where like kind of like the limit of what the technology is for mapping
Okay.
it from outer space.
Are you focusing mostly on the Great Lakes or?
No, most of the work I've been involved in is focused in like the tropics. So a lot of the work I've been doing has been in the Bahamas.
Okay.
And then also kind of other, wherever the water's clear around the world.
Oh, okay.
So is this is a for-profit business you work for?
Yes.
So who are the customers of like what, like the why? Why do you do this?
So
I hate to say it, like, why do you map the ocean?
So Blue Carbon International is an organization dedicated to mapping, monitoring, developing, and preserving ecosystems, particularly the ones that are more adept at sequestering carbon. And our mission is kind of twofold: to protect these critical ecosystems while also promoting sustainable economic opportunities for the individuals that live within these ecosystems. And so essentially we aim to like harness tech and science to drive impactful data-driven conservation strategies in tandem with local communities. So our customers are like, we work mostly with sovereign nations and do this at like a larger scale than like traditional carbon projects.
So give me a case study of something that you did. You worked in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
You did, I think it was Seagrass.
Yeah,
down there?
so we manage the Bahama Banks Blue Carbon Project. So we're in the process of mapping all the seagrass in all of the Bahamas and figuring out, what partners to work with to kind of help us do that, and kind of doing a lot of stuff in-house as well, using drones and, satellites, boats, human divers.
And the goal is to map the entire area.
Map it so it can be protected, and then, once it's protected, then it can be restored.
So are you taking data from like historical perspective? Like here's the last time it was mapped. Here's 2 years later. Here's 5 years later.
Well, most of it hasn't been mapped, so a lot of places have never been mapped. But there have been some projects that have involved like going back in time using satellite imagery, because we can go all the way back to 2008 at like 50 centimeter resolution and figuring out what was there then, and then kind of zooming back to now and figuring out what's there now to figure out rate of loss. And then these things can inform, project activities to then, kind of protect the ecosystems.
Nice.
Interesting. So you're working with the government.
The government there,
Bahamas.
yeah,
Okay.
to figure out the best way to protect and manage their ecosystems. Yeah.
Interesting. So you have like a ton of different partners that you'd have, like to get access to a satellite, to drones, all this, that you guys are partnered with a ton of different companies.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it like that movie with Will Smith? What was the one where he could like direct the satellite when they were trying to chase Will Smith? Remember that? This was years ago.
I've been asked this question.
You must
before.
be making it up.
It doesn't work like that. You can task a satellite to go there, but then there's going to be clouds. There might not be the best time of day to go there. So
Now you got me thinking what that movie is. I still don't know.
Right.
But
Can we spy on my neighbors?
I want to shoot the laser at my neighbors. Hopefully my neighbors are not listening.
To be fair, nobody's listening.
Oh man.
This is just an excuse for us to talk about AI with people. It's really all it is.
So how do you use machine learning and AI to do what you do? Like what role does it play?
So all the data from a satellite is not good. There's things like clouds, there's things like glint, and not just us, but tons of other companies,
What's glint?
Okay.
Why am I the only one asking?
No, that's a good question.
So like with the satellites being pointed at the ocean, the sun might be pointed in the same direction back. So then, when you're like on a boat and you see the like sun on the top of the water bouncing back.
Yes.
Imagine that. So then it turns the ocean into like a mirror, and so
Yep.
you can't see through it, and so then
Okay.
that image is useless.
I call that glare.
Glare.
But it's glint.
Glare,
Yeah.
glare,
Okay.
glare, glint, specular reflection, I think is the technical term.
He was trying to dumb it down for us.
That's what I'm going to use from now on. Specular reflection.
Specular reflection.
Look at that specular reflection.
There's tons of different, names for it, but you can use like machine learning applications to figure out, what part of the data is good and can be used.
Oh, okay.
And then you can do things like, let's say there's an area of the world you're trying to look at that's typically cloudy. You can take, every satellite image collected there, stack them on top to kind of like erase the clouds.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
cool.
taking just the good parts from each image. But there are some caveats with that. You might, change, the angle at which a satellite's pointing might be a little different than the next one.
Yeah.
So you might get like a different pixel at a different point on the surface of the Earth.
Okay.
So there's like a lot of caveats into managing, working with different, satellites to get rid of things like clouds or glint or stuff like that.
What I got out of that is you use AI to remove clouds.
Yes. Yes. You can use AI to remove clouds.
It's fancy Photoshop, isn't it?
It's fancy Photoshop. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like how he reduced his company down to nothing. Oh, so you're just a Photoshopper, that's all.
Yeah, but satellite Photoshop.
How nice are we?
Told you, preschool level.
Glad you signed up for this podcast, don't you?
That's pretty cool though, because you have to have probably a lot of data to train on to know what a cloud is.
Yes.
What the glint or reflectal, whatever we said, thing is.
Yeah, and every satellite's a little bit different. Like they're not all built the same, so the data coming in is all a little bit different. So how you might get rid of clouds in one might be a little different in the next one, and that's why like AI and machine learning is really helpful in kind of bridging the gap between different satellites, because some might have thousands of bands, and some might only have RGB like our camera, so it can be difficult.
Oh yeah.
So when you sign up to use a satellite, I don't know where the sign up list is, but or shoot the laser into
I
the water
want
like
that
you're
one.
saying. Are you acquiring data that's already been captured, or are you guys kind of procuring that, saying here's the specs that we need, and you get on the list to use it?
Yeah, it's both of those. So we can go. There was a race, by the two main satellite companies way back when in 2008 to get the first Google Maps base map. So the two big ones are Airbus and Maxar, and so they were racing to get the first like cloud-free base map of the world. And so you can get a lot of really good imagery from the more expensive high-resolution constellations from 2008 to 2013.
Yeah.
So that's like taking what's already there. And then there's also, passive imagery between then and now. But then you can also get on a list and, kind of, I guess the best way is like get on a list, ask them to task a satellite over a certain area, tell them what acceptable level of clouds there are. And it's just a waiting game to get that next image. Or there's other satellites that are just going around capturing the whole Earth every day.
Yeah.
Like constantly, since I think 2020 is when that first started. The whole Earth's been captured pretty much every day by a satellite constellation. So there's a number of different ones, and then there's actually like apps on your phone now that you can get if you like. They're trying to satellite imagery is getting better access to the public, so there's like an app on your phone you can download actually where you can
Shoot the laser.
not shoot the laser.
I'm gonna chase you with it. I'm chasing you down the street with it, Josh. Here it comes.
Sorry. I was getting excited, a little ahead of myself.
That's a longer waiting list.
The space laser ones, those are passive. So those have been already put up by companies like NASA that manage the satellites, and they're already there, kind of monitoring the Earth. The primary purpose of that one is for monitoring sea ice.
Sea ice.
Yeah. So
Like when it melts and
figuring
Yeah,
out
the changes.
because it bounces back, and you can figure out the distance at what it was. So that's what
That's fascinating.
So there's passive, there's active. In terms of like, there's so many different types. It's a whole can of worms.
So you gather layers of data, like literally photographically layers, and all this data that's in there. You have this big bucket of data. I'm really dumbing this one down.
Remove clouds, bucket of data.
And then you take it, and then you have to kind of disseminate what it is to kind of come to your conclusions or come to your challenge your hypothesis.
Yeah.
And then taking that, you use some AI to kind of filter through that and kind of speed up that process, which is the beauty of what it can do with data. So what kind of, when you use AI in this, do you have like your own LLM that you guys have built over the years, or like what is that tool? Like, I know there's some proprietary stuff, I'm sure, that's involved with it, but I'd like to know all those secrets.
So we have sort of our own proprietary methods of kind of filtering through the data and figuring out, what's good versus what's bad. And also we use drones a lot to supplement. So the satellites can only get to, so high of resolution right now. Soon, I mean, eventually I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to be just as good as drones.
Sure.
So just by flying closer to the surface of the Earth. But we have a way of like taking the drone imagery, matching it up to the satellite imagery, and then, extrapolating that really far across, entire, I think it's like 180,000 square kilometers that we're able to do this in. So
Interesting.
They say that I've heard a statistic, and I don't know the exact statistic, but it's like the new frontier to explore because it's vastly unexplored is the ocean, right?
yeah.
And so, I mean, is there an end goal of like, do you only do certain areas based on, who's obviously who the customer is? It's not like you want to do the whole Earth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be really interesting to see, but
And we're not mapping the depth of the ocean. That's the thing. That's
not the depth.
We're not necessarily mapping the depth. Sometimes we might, have to, get some depth information from, different partners or providers. But our goal is really just to map the seagrass.
The seagrass.
Seagrass, and also everything that's not seagrass as well, too. That's really important because you don't want to mess up. And,
Right.
Is that to kind of separate it out from?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then you can figure out exactly how much seagrass there is.
So if there was less seagrass before and now there's more, what does that mean?
That's a good thing. That means that there's, the sea surface.
A lot more growth, healthy.
It's a healthy ecosystem. That's
Yes.
a great.
It's a great thing.
If you can find those places, let me know.
It's usually the other way.
It's usually the other way.
Reducing,
Yeah. There's been an incredible rate of loss,
Wow.
globally over the past.
What is the reason for that?
I think the common consensus is rising.
Space lasers. I had to say it. Sorry.
Josh has the button.
Overuse of these space
I've been going to
lasers.
town on that seagrass.
I'm sorry. I totally ruined that answer for you.
I mean, there's a whole myriad of things that could be causing it. Sea surface temperature. More chlorophyll in the ocean, more suspended sediment. Boat drivers. Forgetting to pull their props up when you go over it, you get a huge scar across the seagrass bed, or the drag net fishing. I might be calling that wrong, but where you like drag something on the surface,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
not on the surface, on the bottom of the ocean. So that might be digging it up. So there's a whole bunch of causes that could be causing the seagrass.
So when they get that data that there's a reduction in seagrass and they want to start preserving it, do you know what they actually do to like start preserving it? Like do they plant seagrass? I don't even know if that's a thing, right?
Yes.
I mean,
there are companies that have robots that can go underwater, kind of like a tractor that we think of like out here in the Midwest, that can, swim along the bottom of the ocean planting little seagrass pods.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
It's so cool. Yeah. It's a very emerging technology. There's like probably 2 companies in the world that are doing it right now at scale. So, but before then it was, a human diver going in manually and planting these one by one. So
wow.
You can imagine
I think that's an exciting area of AI application. It's in robots. So I have to imagine that these companies are doing this. There's a healthy amount of AI that's essentially steering them, right? And telling them where to plant this and at what depth. And
that's exactly how it works. Is they have like an AI there's a computer within the little mini robot that can figure out where it is, how far away from the bottom it is, and then recognizing where to plant seagrass using like kind of image recognition and convolutional neural networks to kind of figure out what's going on in the image.
are they using your maps as kind of a guide to where to?
Not yet, but that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be a cool, partnership to have eventually. But, But as of right now, no.
Well, when you do, we want to cut it out.
You heard it here first.
This is perfect, dude. It's absolutely recorded, time stamped.
Patent pending.
So in the time, and maybe even before, I don't know how long have you been with Blue Carbon?
I've been with them for 7 months.
7 months, okay.
Yeah.
So do you know like a timeline of where like pre-AI and how much work went into doing what they were doing to now and in your time, and what? Because I think people are really interested people that are really interested in AI see it as a way to create efficiency, to reduce the mundane, repetitive work, so that people can focus on the things that they love to do. Right. So can you tell us about how AI has been implemented or how it's changed what Blue Carbon is doing?
Yeah. I mean, just from like, processing satellite imagery alone, that process used to take, days, but now we can do it in a matter of minutes.
Wow.
So, I mean, and then, for making accurate labeled data sets, because that's one of the biggest problems with satellite remote sensing is having, accurate labeled data sets to, feed into a model that's, been exponentially reduced from, weeks and weeks and weeks to now, we can get, a couple of experts, people who know the ocean to label a handful of data sets, and then we can extrapolate those further.
So you're fine tuning the model off of what these experts provide, like they're giving samples of this is how I would label this data. And you fine tune the model on that, and then it takes over. And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It makes
that's
it
cool.
Makes it so much faster. So, yeah, before it was, a human going through, pixel by pixel, going to a drop down, clicking the label, then going to the next pixel.
So very manual.
Very manual. And I mean, that's been a thing as long as there's been imagery taken on the Earth. Like that's how the Navy used to go and figure out what was going on in World War II. Is they had expert image analysts who would figure out, is that a shoal? Is that a reef? Is that is that going to be a difficulty for us? So
right.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
So how long has Blue Carbon been in business?
We're a very new startup. So,
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, I was going to ask you the question, what did you guys do pre AI, which is like, sounds like AI from the beginning. Because I'm sitting here going, I don't even know how you would do that without the help of AI.
It wouldn't be possible without AI, or unless you had like a couple thousand expert image analysts.
Right.
Yeah.
So, which there aren't of that couple thousand expert image analysts. So
Yes.
yeah. And then there's also a lot of companies too emerging now that are kind of doing the like foundational models, where they're analyzing, all the satellite imagery to try and create like a foundational model of the Earth that understands exactly what's going on the surface of the Earth or underwater at any time. There's like 2 of them that I know of right now. They're very much in their infancy, but like when we talk about like LLMs, those are like, year 6, I'd say in my mind. And like the, Earth observation foundational models are like still in year 0. So once those things get figured out, it's going to be, absolutely incredible. Like just feed it a satellite image and, type into an LLM, like what's
Remove clouds.
Fire
Fire laser.
Go to lunch. Workday complete.
Yeah. But like there's some that work now where like they can, get a satellite image and figure out exactly how many like pools are in the satellite image, or, type it into an LLM and then it goes to the foundational model. But those things are still very separate.
Right.
The LLMs don't necessarily integrate with the foundation models yet.
So once you guys process all this data, you have your mapping, you have kind of the whole package, if you will, that gets delivered to, obviously you're working with the governments intermittently, but they get that data and then they from there make their policies, kind of what you were going towards earlier. Then they can make up their mind of how they want to instill some sort of policy going, oh yeah, these seagrass beds are going away. Our ecosystems are dying here, here, and here. They have concrete data now to make those policies.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need that for my yard. Which aspects are dead, and then I can seed that.
The crabgrass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's probably a satellite company out right now doing just that, or a drone company doing that right now.
I bet.
So
Why couldn't you? I mean, we were joking in our previous episode about looking at Drew's roof and letting it tell him that he needs to replace his roof. But it'd be the same thing. I could look at an individual shingle.
Insurance companies do that now using like very high resolution satellite imagery, post storms to figure out how the insurance claims might work. And that's entirely driven by like AI and foundational models built just for roofs. there isn't like a one size fits all model yet, but there are some that are like just for roofs, or
Right.
I'm sure like a pool service company probably uses another company to figure out exactly how many pools there are, to go and figure out when they need to go knock on the door and say, hey, you might want to have your pool cleaned or something like that.
Yeah.
Can you do like an exclusion zone where that satellites can't see? Like you can file for that.
I mean, every single country is throwing up satellites at like rapid pace, and it's, insane what people could do. I mean,
Is there any regulation or any, I don't want to say like the enemy that's out there, like you're trying to map certain areas and they're going, nope, we don't want you to map this. We don't want you to map that. Like certain zones that governments are saying stay out of there because of regulation or that you can't do. Like, I don't know,
Area
is there
51.
pirates or something in these waters?
I mean, not that I'm aware of. I mean, you could order a satellite imagery of anywhere. I'm assuming that
You personally can? Like anyone can?
anyone can. There's an app on your phone you can
For
get.
$39.95.
Would you like to add the laser? Upsell $20.
20% off if you sign up.
Yeah, there's like an app now. It's called Sky-Fi that you could just get on your
Wow.
phone.
Oh my
and you can
goodness.
download like satellite imagery of your neighborhood. You can get the land cover. You can get the digital
Wow.
elevation model. I know of people who use it for like hunting, like to like figure out where their like best places to go for hunting is.
That's cool.
And so like it's really cool because it's been such a disconnect between the general public who can have access to satellite imagery, and now like there's an app that you can download on your phone and get like not only satellite imagery but also derived analytics like straight to.
Is that like live? Like you can tell it when you want?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, so
Yeah.
like they could like, I could be in my yard like waving and they'd be like, take a picture of me. And
Well,
because I want to do
What are you
that.
trying to get at here?
That's just cool.
yeah, I don't think it's there yet. I mean, you probably could do it, but you'd have to pay a whole arm and a leg. to
Yeah,
get
it's
that.
like to move the set. I thought they were moving it special for me. I was like,
Hold
that
still.
sounds. Yeah, exactly.
They're not.
We're getting it there. Hold still, Josh.
Josh, put in $40. Come on.
Yeah, I think it's like $250. You can get a high resolution satellite image for like 25 square kilometers anywhere you want.
Oh my goodness.
So,
We could
crazy.
lay in your backyard and spell out AI. Take a
There's a
photo,
promo.
and then that could be the new background.
I
for
love
AI
that
Lab
idea.
Unfiltered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
you can practice mowing your
Yeah.
lawn.
Oh yeah. You can
Get a
see all
picture
my
of it.
seagrass. You know?
And for an additional $20, you can drive the Mars rover. Perfect.
So what is have you seen cool things? Like, do you get access to these images? Like, what are some cool things that you've seen in your time?
When I was in my master's program, I was getting a lot of different images on sargassum, and it's not necessarily like just one of them is just the sheer size of these sargassum mats. I don't know if you've ever been down to the Caribbean and seen that smelly brown seaweed that washes up on shore.
Okay,
that
yeah.
smells like
Stuff that
salt.
just floats there and
Yeah,
comes
it
in.
just floats there
yes,
and comes
yes.
in. Seeing those that are like the size of cities, like is like the craziest
Holy
thing.
moly.
Like like hundreds of square kilometers of just this brown mat of seaweed, like floating towards the ocean. It's like that's probably one of the craziest ones I've seen. So
Now, where does that, not necessarily AI driven here, but where does that come from then? Is that because it's getting released, like it's dying off, or?
It's called the Great Atlantic Sargassum Belt. Started in 2013, and it's from the deforestation of the Amazon. So there's all and then planting crops for the cattle farms, and then all the waste coming out from the Amazon, then going out into the Amazon basin is where like the sargassum usually lives, and now it has so much more nutrients to grow and multiply than it ever has before. So then it gets pushed by the trade winds then into the Caribbean. So that's what's caused it.
We always learn something new.
The things you learn.
Wow.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. All the tech you guys had put into that to look at seagrass
Yeah.
I just think it's cool that it's an industry like what we talked about that wouldn't have existed
without AI.
Without AI.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for folks that are afraid of where it can be, you have to balance that with all the cool shit that can come from
Yes.
it too, like things, a whole new industry and a way to help save the planet.
Yeah.
What's the origin stories of the company? I'm curious. How did it come about? Do you know?
It's a very, it might not be a story for the podcast. That might be too long. So,
Started at Area 51.
Started at a poker game.
no, our founders have been working a long time in conservation in the Bahamas. So
Okay. Nice.
Cool.
Interesting.
yeah.
How are you using? Do you use AI a lot in your personal life, like outside of what you're doing at Blue Carbon?
Yeah, I mean, it's super helpful for I have really bad ADHD, so like typing in what I have to do for today, and then it spits me out a nice list of everything, and I can just copy and paste it or write it down in my, one of my many notebooks. That's like one of the big reasons I use it.
Like, that's a daily thing for you that you do?
Yeah, daily
Really?
thing. Yeah, helping me with like a to-do list that I have from like my Monday sprint board or whatever, figuring out what to do and when I need to do it. And then note taking for meetings, that's another big one that I use it for. So having the little mini AI note taker and then summarizing it. And so then you remember to shoot the follow-up email that you might not have remembered to shoot before.
What I want to go back to the helping deal with your ADHD and that, because people are going to listen to this and be like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I want to learn if it's working for him." Like, can you just dive into that a little bit more?
Yeah.
Like exactly what you do. Like you wake up in the morning, you pull up the app, and you say, "I'm doing these 5 things today."
Yeah, and I have to do these 5 things today. I also have to get groceries and do stuff like that, and so then it'll I can then use that to kind of structure my day and like what I have to do based on when I best.
Will it spit out a whole itinerary for you? Like
Yeah, it
do this
spits
at
out
9, do this at 10?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I don't necessarily follow that at all. But it is useful to like have a structure, based on like different time zones, different people are in that I'm working with to make sure that like, I can meet with these people then and then meet with these people at another time.
All right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then another way that's really been helpful is I have celiac disease, so I'm allergic to gluten, and being able to use ChatGPT to find gluten-free restaurants is like amazing.
Oh,
it's like it works like really well.
I never would have thought of that.
I never would thought of that
Never would
either.
have thought of that.
Yeah, so that's like the other way I use it like all the time.
My wife's the same. She has the same thing. I should use ChatGPT to do that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's usually better because it can read all the Google reviews, I think, and all the Yelp reviews and stuff like that. So it never recommends places like this place might say it has gluten-free stuff,
But it doesn't.
but it, people have gotten sick there before.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot cheaper than that like. I forget what the app is, but there's an app for gluten-free restaurants, but it's like, I think it's like $60 a year or something like that.
Gotcha.
Or,
Interesting.
or a month. I'm not sure. But
Yeah. And when you want to go out to eat somewhere, you move the satellite to see first.
I got sick at that place. Fire laser.
check the parking lot. Check the parking lot. Make sure there's good parking.
Do you use multiple tools, or do you have kind of just one tool that you stick with for AI?
I use all of them for different purposes. I don't know. I use Perplexity, Claude, and ChatGPT, and then I have downloaded DeepSeek locally just to run on my own computer, just for fun. But
So you're giving China your information.
no, because it's locally on my computer. No. I hope not.
So this is a big thing, and we were talking before we started doing episodes this morning. Like there's so many people that are still afraid of AI because of privacy. So running it locally is something that in late 2022 nobody was going to do. But the models are getting lighter, hardware is getting better. So what kind of rig are you running this local DeepSeek on? I
have like a Ryzen Threadripper, like 128 gigs of RAM, and then 2 4070 GPUs.
4070s? Okay.
I think so. Yeah. It's like my gaming PC from a long time ago that stayed relevant. So, and I don't run the biggest model per se, but it was just kind of fun to like be like, okay, I can run this locally. Like,
yeah, that's cool.
I'm not giving anyone my information. Yeah, and I think that's one of the like difficult things is like you have to remember that anytime you're using these AIs, like they might be using your information, they might not be using your information. I don't really know. I haven't gotten a definitive answer from anyone.
It's holding people back from wanting to adopt, especially for businesses, because they have proprietary data, or even if they don't have a lot of proprietary data, they still have client data that they don't feel comfortable sharing. So they're still pushed back from the AI table, and not using it because of that. But I think it's important to know that it's not a massive investment to be able to run something locally. You know, right? Like you're doing it in your own home on a gaming PC.
Yeah. I think and I think too, there's also a lot of companies that are just investing into building their own large language models.
Yeah.
Which is like just a massive, cost.
It is a massive cost. So what you use different? You said you use different LLMs. Have you found specific use cases that you're like, Gemini sucks for this, ChatGPT is amazing for it, or I use it ChatGPT for that, Perplexity for this?
I use Perplexity kind of for like general questions and research. Claude's really good to like help with coding. ChatGPT can be good to help with coding, but it hallucinates a lot and like makes stuff up. Gemini's the one I haven't really tried as much, but I feel like Gemini and Claude are the best at like writing, but I haven't really like investigated writing with, the language models yet.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Where do you find that you'd like to use AI more, but it's just not there yet? Like, have you found any kind of, I don't want to say shortcomings because every tool has its own shortcoming, but like, gosh, I really wish there was an AI for this.
It'd be really cool to have like an AI this is just off the cuff, but like it would be really cool to have an AI that could just like plan trips for you. Like figure out, I'm going from this destination. I want to go to, X type of place at, this time and figure everything out for you. Like, like an AI travel agent almost.
Well, we've got a surprise for you.
Well, roll up your sleeves and buckle up. The next hour is Josh. No, I've used it for a few different trips. It works well. The thing I will say is it won't plan everything. And I think that's maybe what you were getting at. Is like if it could plan soup to nuts, like everything.
Yeah, like book things.
Book things.
Yeah.
Make
That'd be
a
amazing,
reservation.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be a little dangerous too. You'd be like, "Can I go here to here?" And it hallucinates, and you're like, "You're way over at Guam." You're like, "Why am I here?"
Buys flights.
Supposed to go to Kansas.
Buys horrible flight times or something like that. Gives you the most possible connections.
Yes. Exactly.
You like touring airports, right?
That would be pretty fun.
This isn't what you wanted, but I know this is what you needed.
Guam is beautiful this time of year.
Oh man, have you tried it on any trips?
I have not yet.
Okay.
I have for like research on like places to go, but in terms of like finding flights or like hotels to stay at, no. But for restaurants, 100%. That's like the main thing I use it for.
What's the craziest thing you've ever used it for? I like to ask that question. Like, is there a bizarre use case you've used it for?
I mean, nothing. I can't think.
Nothing
of
comes to mind.
Nothing comes
Maybe I'm the only one that goes down this crazy rabbit hole.
Nothing you can say on this podcast.
Like when we're talking about traveling, I'm like, give me the craziest way I could travel from here to here. And it literally came back. It's like, you should ride a unicycle from here to here. And I was like, wow, this is really creative writing here. So
Well, I think one of the coolest things is when I was moving to Grand Rapids from Denver back in December, it was right when the like talk to person came out. And I was like really bored and driving the U-Haul and just started talking to the person, asking about,
Did you talk?
I would just talked with this AI person for like, 12 hours a day and it was like got on all sorts of weird, different, subjects. I ended up learning about like UK garage music.
so that's a crazy thing. Yeah, that's great.
Learning about all sorts of different, like the history of like different types of music and stuff like that. And I don't even really remember how we got there.
Now he's your best friend.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That would be a good segue if we do the episodes in this order. Our very next guest is Dan Hungerford, and he has created an app, everfriends.ai, and it's a digital avatar for folks, for the elderly, if they're, living alone or, they don't, kind of sad to say, don't get visited by their family a lot or whatever. They can have that companion. And Also for long road trips, apparently it would be great for that too.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I think that would be an excellent
Yes.
use case.
That's right.
It was awesome. You know, like listening to music and podcasts, like you could only do for so long.
Yeah.
And so like,
Right.
having like a conversation when you're driving alone, I think that'd be really
I'm
great.
100% with you. 100,
Yeah.
I would, I
Someone
use
should
the
do-
voice feature of ChatGPT right now in the car. Same way, just constantly talking to it, and it's just a companion in the car.
Yeah.
I burn out everybody else around me because I talk too much.
My brother does the same, and he calls it Chad GPT.
It's awesome.
Yeah, we were using it when we drove up. My girlfriend and I used it when we drove up to Alpena, and we were like asked it like, "What's a gluten-free restaurant in Alpena?" and it sent us to this place that had like gluten-free fried chicken sandwiches. Like we wouldn't have been able to find.
Yeah,
that.
that's a
Yeah,
perfect
that's
use
that's
case.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
awesome.
sweet.
Really
That's
cool.
Well, Graeme, appreciate you coming on, man. I love talking with you. I know you're going to be at the AI Meetup Lab here pretty soon, so we're excited to talk to you even more there and have a bigger conversation with a lot more people. Where can we find you?
I'm on LinkedIn, pretty much. That's the one place. I erased my social media recently. So.
Oh,
You can find him in the stars.
You can find me in the stars. Yeah, so you can just find me on LinkedIn at Graeme Timmeney. So
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, man, for coming on.
Thanks, Graeme.
Appreciate you, and great conversation.
yeah, this is fun.
a lot of
Thank
fun.
you guys.
Thanks.
If you want to learn more about AI Lab Unfiltered, subscribe now.